Hello and welcome back to Trauma Toolkit. I hope you've managed to use tracking and resourcing throughout the week and you found either or both of these skills beneficial. Getting to know your internal sensations is really important for helping shift your nervous system back into balance, so I encourage you to keep practicing these skills as they get easier the more you do them. Let's check in on our schedule and then begin Workshop 3. So we've completed workshops 1 and 2, containing psychoeducation and the first 2 of our 6 wellness skills. This workshop will be learning and practicing skills 3 and 4, which are grounding and gesturing. Both of these skills are very simple to learn, but are incredibly effective in helping bring balance back to your nervous system. Another reminder for you that these skills are a biological intervention that can help you learn to stabilise your nervous system so that you can be in your resilient zone more often for longer periods of time, and to help you feel more whole in mind, body and spirit. As we're about to practice a skill, a gentle reminder to use the resiliency zone scale, and you can just notice, say out loud, or write down the number that best describes where you are on the scale, whether you're in your resilient zone, so numbers 4 to 7, or on high or low. Doing this means you then have a reference for checking whether that number changes or remains the same after using this next skill. Let's now begin skill 3. Grounding. Grounding is the direct contact of the body with the ground, or with something that provides support to the body. A traumatic or stressful event can sometimes literally knock you off your feet, which can leave you feeling off balance. Practicing the skill of grounding on a regular basis is another way to get back into your resilient zone. When you ground, you are in the present moment. Grounding can help you pull away from flashbacks, unwanted memories, and negative or challenging emotions. Grounding helps you return gently to the present moment, stabilize your nervous system, and bring you back into your resilient zone. You can ground yourself by sitting, standing, lying down, or by walking. Let's now try this skill together. You might want to take a moment to find somewhere comfortable to do this. So either a chair, the sofa, lie on the floor, or even the earth if you're outside watching this. If you're shorter in height and are sitting in a chair where your feet don't touch the floor, you might want to gather some pillows, books, or a platform so that you can sense your feet against a solid surface. You can press pause until you find somewhere suitable to do this, and then press play again when you're ready. If you're okay to start, let's begin. Find a comfortable position sitting, lying down, or standing. Take your time finding this comfortable position. And once you're in it, notice how your back is making contact with the chair, or the floor, or a wall, whatever surface you're leaning against. And if you're sitting, bring attention to your bottom making contact with whatever surface you're touching. And now move slowly downwards and notice your thighs. Notice if they're in contact with any surface and how that feels against them. And move your way down to your lower legs and do the same with them. And then notice your feet making contact with a solid surface. Really notice your feet making contact with the ground. And notice the sensations that are more pleasant to you or neutral within your body. Take your time. And as you pay attention to those comfortable sensations, notice your breathing, your heart rate, and your muscles relaxing. If you become aware of any uncomfortable sensations, bring your attention to places that feel neutral or more comfortable. And as you bring your attention to the contact of your body with whatever surface you're against, notice your breathing, your heart rate, and your muscles relaxing. And as we get ready to end, slowly scan your body and bring your attention to all sensations that are pleasant or neutral. Lovely. And this finishes that short exercise for how to ground yourself. For some people, grounding can sometimes trigger a capsule of memory. Those memory capsules that we learnt about in Workshop 1 that contain sensory information of a traumatic or stressful event that hasn't been properly integrated into long-term memory. Grounding can trigger these because paying attention to body sensations and parts of the body in contact with surfaces can cause reminders of past stressful or traumatic experiences. So if this happens to you, please don't worry, you're not doing grounding wrong. You may just need to develop experience with the other skills in Trauma Toolkit before returning to grounding. If you try grounding and it is difficult to find neutral or pleasant sensations, continue instead to focus on developing your resourcing skill, which you learned in the previous workshop. Sometimes a person needs an image in order to experience pleasant or neutral sensations. And remember, it's totally fine if one skill works better for you than another. These workshops are about finding out which skill works best for you by giving you a selection of tools to choose from. And this is the end of our third skill, grounding. Grounding can be a really quick way for helping you back into your resilience zone, so hopefully you can try this when you're next bumped out to see if it can be effective for you. As we have just completed a skill, a reminder to you to check in using the Resiliency Zone scale to see how you are doing in this present moment. Hopefully, grounding has helped you to be somewhere between numbers 4 and 7 if you weren't there beforehand. But if not, that's okay, because we've got 3 more skills left in Trauma Toolkit for you to try. If you wanted to take a short break, now would be a good time before we begin the next skill, in which case press pause and head back when you're ready. If you're fine to keep going, let's continue with skill 4. Welcome back if you've returned after taking a break. As we're about to start another skill, a reminder to notice where you are on the Resiliency Zone scale. Again, you can write this down or just make a mental note of it. If you continued with the video without taking a break, then obviously you've just done this, so you don't need to do this again. So our 4th skill is gesturing. And this skill involves gesturing and spontaneous movement. So, what do we mean by this? Gesturing refers to a movement, usually of the body or limbs, that expresses or emphasizes an idea, sentiment, or attitude. And it's the use of motions of the limbs or body as a means of expression. And there are different types of gestures and movements. There are self-calming, and these are movements that bring comfort and safety. Universal movements, and these represent wholeness, spiritual beliefs, or deep personal meaning. And there are protective movements, and these are usually hand, leg, and whole body movements. Releasing gestures, these are experienced as sensations leaving the body and helping to restore balance. So these are the sensations associated with nervous system release that I discussed in the last workshop. And joyful gestures that represent experiences of happiness and joy. So with this skill, it's about you noticing and paying attention to your calming, universal, and protective gestures. To help you develop this skill, it can be useful to begin by paying attention to others. By tracking others, you can become more aware of gestures. When spending time with friends and family, or while watching a movie or a television show, pay attention to gestures that are being made by others that appear calming. And you might notice people using all sorts of gestures in their daily life, often unknowingly. Some people play with their hair, suck their thumb, or fiddle with their jewelry. Others twiddle their thumbs, swing their legs, or tap their feet. Make a mental note of, or write down what you noticed about others to help you increase your attention of gestures. After spending time watching others, you then begin paying attention to your own unique gestures that are self-soothing. As you become more aware of your own calming gestures, try bringing the gesture to awareness. You can then repeat the gesture and slow it down. Doing this can help to strengthen sensations that are soothing. With gesturing, this is a skill where you work backwards. So you begin in your resilient zone and you just notice and pay attention to yourself whilst there. When you are in your resilient zone, notice any gestures and movements you are making that are calming, universal, or protective. Now these gestures can come up quickly without thinking. So the idea with this skill is that as you make the gesture or movement, slow it down and notice the sensations. Slowing down comforting movements will often strengthen the sense of well-being. Most people have a gesture or a movement that is made outside of awareness that brings the person back into balance. When you become aware of your movement or gesture, it can become another resource that can help you feel better in mind, body, and spirit. Once you've identified your soothing or calming gestures, and these are often made by the hands, when you're feeling stressed, disconnected, and knocked out of your resilient zone, you can intentionally make the calming movement or gesture. Repeating this gesture with intention can help your nervous system come back into balance. Just as people have gestures or movements that can bring them back into their resilient zone, they can also have distressing gestures that can bump them out. Should you notice any distressing gestures you have that bump you out of your resilient zone, use the skills in Trauma Toolkit to help you return to balance. And this is our fourth skill completed. Don't forget to use the Resiliency Zone scale before and after using gesturing to help you monitor any changes in your well-being. As you go about your usual activities this week, use the skills of tracking, resourcing, grounding, and gesturing. It might be useful for you to journal this, so you could write it in a diary or even create a note on your phone, tablet, or laptop to document what happens to you as you bring your awareness to grounding, gesturing, and resourcing. This is useful to document any changes or improvements, and it also encourages you to pay greater attention and encourage awareness of internal sensations, and importantly, times when you are in your resilient zone. And this brings us to the end of our third workshop. Hopefully, grounding and gesturing can be useful to you when needed. The next workshop is the fourth and final one of Trauma Toolkit, and we'll be learning our last two wellness skills. Thanks for sticking with the workshop so far, and I'll see you in the next video.